Let's begin with our dry ingredients for our cake batter. To start, grab yourself a large mixing bowl and measure in 2 cups of sugar. For the rest of the dry ingredients, you'll want to use a sifter to make sure you aren't adding any lumps into the bowl. Into your sifter, measure in 1 3/4 cups of regular all-purpose flour, 1 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, followed by 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Don't worry, you won't taste the baking soda in your cake. Lastly, add in about 1/3 of a teaspoon of salt. Make sure it's fine-grained too, so it mixes in well. Sift everything through, and then grab a whisk and mix until everything is evenly combined. Next, make a small well in the middle of your dry ingredients for you to add your wet ingredients into. Now, crack in 2 eggs. Room temperature is best to blend more easily and improve the texture. Also, add in 1 cup of milk, room temperature as well if you can, but if you're in a hurry, don't sweat it. Just make sure you mix everything well. Next, pour in 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. And add a nice splash of vanilla extract to finish it off. Now start stirring. Work your way from the middle outwards to combine the wet and dry ingredients well. Keep mixing until the batter is smooth and has no lumps. Now, to complete our beautiful batter, we are going to need some coffee. I'm using some instant coffee to keep the process easy and quick. To do so, boil 1 cup of water in a kettle and add in 1 teaspoon of your coffee. If your coffee has different instructions, however, follow those to get the perfect ratio. Let this brew for a moment, then it's time to add it to your batter. You'll want to add it in little by little so that it incorporates properly. Here, I added a splash at a time and mixed it in very well. Patience is key in this part, and it's worth the effort. Your batter may seem runny, but that's exactly how it's supposed to be. Your cake will turn out right, don't worry. Now that our batter is ready to go, we need to prep our baking pans as well. The first thing you'll need to do is butter each pan to prevent your cake from sticking as it bakes. The way I've always done it is by grabbing a piece of paper towel, adding some butter onto it, and smearing the butter onto the pan, spreading a thin layer on the bottom and sides, making sure I don't miss the edge corners as well. Once your pans are buttered, it is also a great idea to add parchment paper to the bottom to prevent further sticking. There's nothing I hate more than the top of my cake holding onto the pan for dear life, and the parchment always prevents that issue for me. Now that our pans and our batter is ready, pour equal amounts of batter into each pan. And now it's time to bake. Pop those pans into a preheated oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes. If you aren't sure that they're done yet, stick in a toothpick, and when it comes out clean, you can remove your cakes. Set them somewhere to cool in their pans, and while they cool off, we can get our icing ready. Begin by whipping 2/3 of a cup of heavy cream. When it begins to thicken a bit, add in a tablespoon of sugar. Keep whipping until the cream forms stable peaks like this. Set your whipped cream to the side and get out a cutting board. Now it's time to chop up 2 chocolate bars. I used 1 dark chocolate bar to add some richness to my icing, and then I used 1 milk chocolate bar because I love a little extra sweetness. You can use whatever kinds of chocolate you'd like. It's your cake. Next, get out a small pot. For this part, you will need 3 egg yolks. I separated the yolks from the whites with my hands, but you can use whichever technique works best for you. Add 1 tablespoon of sugar to those yolks and mix. Once that is smooth, add in about 2/3 of a cup of heavy cream and mix very well. Once combined, pop that on the stove on medium heat and stir consistently. Don't bring it to a boil, but warm it and stir until it thickens up nicely, like this. Take it off the stove and add your chocolate in right away. Let it melt in and mix very well until it looks like this. Don't worry, the gritty texture is just temporary. Let this cool down, then add it to your whipping cream and fold it in gently. I didn't let mine cool down completely, and if you make the same mistake, just throw it in the fridge or freezer until it becomes fluffy rather than runny. Once your icing is ready and your cakes have cooled down completely, it's time to put everything together. Give your cake pan a shake to loosen the sides of the cake, and then flip onto whatever plate or surface you'd like to build your cake on top of. The parchment paper will peel off beautifully, revealing an incredibly moist cake underneath. Take a generous glob of icing and spread that on the first cake layer. Then top with your other piece of the cake, and use the remainder of the icing to evenly cover the top and sides. What I did was add all the icing on the top, then pulled it to the edges and down the sides from there. A final note, this is definitely a messy cake, so do not worry if it looks a bit wild at the end. I didn't spend the time to make it look professional, but you absolutely can by smoothing the icing evenly and adding chocolate shavings, sprinkles, or any other toppings you'd like. Once you're all done, sit back and enjoy a slice. It's the perfect level of richness, met by a gentle sweetness that you won't be able to get enough of. Enjoy!